Hello, my name's Joel Lewis. I joined the Royal Anglian Regiment in 2005. I started training in 2004 up in Herrick. I'd done 6 months there, and then I joined my regiment, the Royal Anglian Regiment, the Vikings, in 2005. I joined too late to go to Iraq tour, but then 2 years afterwards, we deployed on Herrick 6 in Afghanistan. So before Afghan, we had to go to Kenya to train to acclimatise with the heat out there, and by far Kenya was the toughest training exercise I've done with the Royal Anglians. So yeah, I enjoyed Kenya a lot. Not at night though, because I remember. It's a guy, Private Shepherd. Well, I believe he got his rifle taken away from him because he was sleepwalking with his weapon. And yeah, I think a few people were scared. So yeah, he got his weapon taken away from him. And I think there was a few times where some lions may have broken, or hyenas broke into camp. So night times, I was a bit wary, but the training that we done during the day was really effective. The heat was extraordinary, really. But yeah, we crept on with it, and it proved out in Afghan why we done it. So I went to Afghanistan in 2007 with the Royal Anglian Regiment. I was in B Company, 7th Team. We deployed in April, and I was quite scared. I didn't know what I was letting myself in for in Afghan. But the first week we were there, we were doing training in Camp Battalion. So yeah, I was a team medic in Afghan, so I was getting trained with a few people to be team medics. We was also doing training how to take out a compound. So for the first week, it was basically training for going out there to fight the Taliban. The first base we was at was Fort Robinson. The first week, I was a bit disappointed because nothing really happened until after that. We started to go out there in vehicles, and that's when attacks started to happen. I wasn't prepared for it really. For the first attack, it kind of blew me away. But then when you have 2, 3, 4, you start to get used to it, and your training kicks in. So in Afghan, I was in the company 7 Battalion. We were called the Lucky Sevens. I was in 2 sections. We were split into 3, 1, 2, and 3. Our sergeant, son Woody, we called him Woodrow as a nickname. I built up a lot of friendship in my platoon, and then when we were fighting the Taliban in Afghan, that's when you start to think like who your friends are, and you protect each other with your lines, really. So the first firefight that took place, I remember the first Taliban I saw, it's only a few yards away. I was pretty shocked because I didn't know how close they could get towards you before you even notice. But my friends, Smithy, Medlock, Frumble, Troy and Fozzie and many more were a tight team. And I always stood by each other and protected each other. I remember some firefights where I see Aaron McCall, we called him Troy because he was an amazing soldier. I remember looking down and seeing him taking out a Taliban position, and I think that's where his nickname came from, the film Troy. because he was an exceptional soldier. The worst experience that happened to me in Afghanistan was in Kajaki, when we went out to meet the Taliban, and I believe it was about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon when we reached the compound, and we were standing to, and we started to get incoming fire. So we set up a bun line, and Fuzzy was in the building firing out of a window, and one section was on the rooftop, and some of us were surrounding the place because the Taliban were sneaking from behind. And I remember hearing from our sergeant, Son Woodrow, that there'll be an F-15 bomb dropping on Taliban because they were outnumbering us, and their firepower was pretty good that day. So I remember I was counting down, and I ran to the back to support the rear section, and that's when the bomb dropped. And I remember being in a ball of dust, and I fell to the floor, and I remember waking up disorientated, and then after a while, you could hear people shout out medic, medic. So I then ran round to the front, and that's when I realised we had a casualty. The first one was Private Frample, and we had to, I remember Medlock, Private Medlock, he had to get Framble off the roof, and so he was gone. He took them for impacts, so we had to Kesivac him out. And I remember looking back, and I remember his arm, it fell off the stretcher, and it was dragging along the rubble. And it still stays with me from today, just looking back and seeing Framble in the stretcher getting dragged away. I was then firing at the Taliban at this time, and then we Kesivac Framble back to camp, and we realised Fuzzy was in the building, and we thought that he came with us, so some people had to go back and dig the rubble and find him. Unfortunately, he died. So I was crying most of that night, and I thought we lost 2 people, and then I remember falling asleep, waking up, and then we had a debrief, and then my friend said to me, I can't believe 3 people died, and I said it was 2, and they said no, Troy died as well. Aaron McClure. That was a massive shock to me, because Troy was my best friend out in Afghanistan. So when I found out he died as well, that hit me hard, and I knew we had to do a couple more months after that. So I remember another attack that we came across. I remember that me, Smithy, and Medlock we was in the stream. The water was filled up to about our knee height, and we had to get in there, and Taliban knew where we were. We were getting incoming fire, and I remember us suppressing them as much as we could. I remember the trees above us, so the branches were falling off on top of us because of the bullets were hitting the trees. I just remember sitting in that trench thinking, if I'm going to go, I'm not going to go this way. So I crawled to the end the trench with my mini-me, my light machine gun, and went to the end of the trench and then crawled up and took a position and started to fire. We then got called back, but we were getting suppressed so much from all angles, not just us, other people. We were there for a while. We then regrouped, and Smithy, Medlock and me ran back into the compound where the rest of them were. I remember just falling to the floor, and it was Medlock, Smithy, and Smithy realised that my knee was bleeding, so he had a look at it and got shrapnel in her leg, so he put an SSD on my knee, and I had to get Hezzy back to Camp Bastion, where I was in the hospital in Camp Bastion for a week, and then joined back after a week to fight onwards. Yeah, so we was in Kajaki, and there's a section that has to go on the peaks and do stagger sentry, and I remember it was myself and a few others, and I remember when I was on the stag, this was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I heard some noise coming up from the mountain, and I looked down and there was two porcupines, and the next day I told my friends that, mate, there was 2 porcupines in Afghan, and all of them said, you're going crazy, there's no porcupines in Afghan. Anyway, the next day I done sentry again the same time, and the 2 porcupines came up from the mountain, so I was tempted with the Duke MG that was there to shoot the porcupines to prove that I'm not going crazy and I was telling the truth, but I just didn't want people to wake up in camp thinking there's an attack, but it was just Private Lewis proving a point that there's porcupines in Afghan. I still think to this day they don't believe me, but I've googled porcupines in Afghan, and I am telling the truth. So I remember having a few fun days in Afghan, especially in Sangin, when B Company was making sort of in the river. I went swimming. I remember tying a rope to this plastic thing, and people were using it as like a surfboard, and it was good. It was good seeing people with a smile on their face and being happy for a change. But the most upsetting thing is seeing Troy, Frunball, Fuzzy, people that you know, that you build a bond with. For me, especially Troy, I remember doing sentry position stags with him during the night, and we were just talking about family and girls, and when we get back, what we should do, and meet up and do stuff together. So when you realise that they're not there anymore, it's a massive shock. Thinking about the good times you have with your brother, really. and planning what you're going to do when you're coming back, and yes, and they lost their lives, so it's really upsetting. But it's really, I'm really proud to say that I served with the Royal Anglian Regiment, the Vikings, especially B Company. Yeah, I served in Battalion, the Lucky Sevens. I remember also an attack that we done in Kajaki. I remember when we was in heavy fire, and I was in a sort of a ditch in the green zone, and rounds were whizzing past, and you can tell when they get close because they make a crackle of sound. Because I think that was the most scariest for me because they were really close, and I don't know, it's just something that I was saying to myself where I don't think I'm going to come back. It just didn't feel right for me.